a lot of us are using Google Sheets for our data collection and to graph. One of the problems you might find is when you go to make a line graph and you're graphing the average of something, you want to do individual error bars. And Google does not make it very easy to do this. I found a great video by Ben Paulson where he shows a workaround that you can use to make individual error bars. But he doesn't include a trend line. He has all the dots in a line, but there's no trend line. In the comment section of his video, somebody pointed out how to do that trend line. And so I put it all together and it works great. So I wanted to make a little video to show you how to do that. So we'll use the same example from the Ben Paulson video. And thank you very much for doing that, Ben Paulson. His example was, let's say we're doing jumping jacks, 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 jumping jacks, and we want to measure the heart rate. And so we do several trials, as we normally do, and we get the average heart rate. And somewhere else, I've worked out the range. Let's just say this is the range of my data. So this is the average, this is the range, and I want the range to be my error bars. And you can see they're different, right? 4, 6, 2, there's one that's 8. Now, error bars don't have to be range. They could be standard deviation or standard error. But in this example, let's just say it's the range. So the problem is if I just highlight this and try to make a graph out of this, Google is going to want me to have the same error bars for every data point. So here's the workaround from the video. It is what you do is you take your treatments that would be like what you would have on your x-axis. So like 10 jumping jacks, 20 jumping jacks, 30, 40, 50, and you spread them out horizontally like this, and then you also put them vertically down the side, and then you put the averages on an angle going down like that. And in the Ben Paulson video, this is what he does. He highlights this and makes a graph, and you can do individual error bars. And the reason is that it makes a separate series for each of these data points. So you can apply an error bar just to a specific series. But when you do that, you can't put in the trend line. So the workaround for that is you take these same measurements, the averages, and you list them vertically like this. And now if you highlight all of that and go to Insert Chart, it's going to give you a chart that looks like so. Okay, we want to do a scatter plot with a trend line. So I'm going to go up to Chart Type and find Scatter. Okay, that's looking better. And now each of these data points is a separate series. It's a little bigger so you can see it. Okay. So if I go to Customize and I go to Series, and if I scroll down, I see error bars, which you can click, but I only want to apply one series at a time. So I can say data series 1. So only applying to data series 1, I want an error bar. You can do it as a %. I'm going to do it as constant. I think my first error bar was 4. Look back at my let's go back to where I was. I accidentally clicked on that. Edit chart. Customize series. Okay, I don't want error bars for all of them. So let me back up here. So if I want just to data series 1, I want an error bar of, let's say, 4. There we go. You can see it on the graph. And didn't mean to close that again. So you can go through this and you can apply error bars to each series. I think I had this one maybe at 2. And then I'm just going to put in some numbers here. Make this one, say, 6. Okay, and then the last one, data series 5. Let's give it a error bar of 8. Okay, so whatever your data is. Okay, so you can see that all the error bars are different. Okay, the other thing I can do, I can go to apply to all series. I can go down and select Trendline. And then I get a trend line. And if I want to know the formula of that line, I can select label. I could say use equation. Okay, and it shows me that the slope of this line is 1.03, and that is the relationship between the number of jumping jacks and the average heart rate. Now you can clean it up a little bit. We don't need different colors for each of these series. So what I would do is go back to select sort of one at a time. We will do blue for all of them. So data series 2, I'm going to change the color to blue as well. Data series 3, 4, 5. Okay, and I don't really need this legend here, so you can actually get rid of that too if you go to legend and just say none. Now I know that slope is 1.03, so I would write about that underneath the graph. So now I put in some titles and some axes. So click on chart and axis titles. My chart title, we want something descriptive that shows the relationship between the variables. So I'll say heart rate, don't forget the units, as a result of jumping jacks. Okay, good enough for our example here. So anyway, you can see how to put in a title. You can also do a chart subtitle. So here you might want to have something like, oh, that doesn't make sense for this graph, but say the slope of 1.07 represents the relationship. I know you don't have to do this, but between the number of jumping jacks and the average heart rate. Okay, and this is just because I've got the graph made kind of small for the video, but you can't see the whole thing, but it's there. Or you could just underneath the graph state what the slope is, but make sure you don't forget to state what the slope is and what it means in words as well. The other thing you want to do is label your axes with units. So horizontal axis title, this would be the number of jumping jacks. And I already had it selected from my practice run earlier, so you could type that in. And then from my y-axis, that would be the average heartbeat, and it is average heartbeat, so average heart rate, actually, average heart rate per minute. Okay, so that is how you can make a graph on Google Sheets that has individual error bars and a trend line.